back to today's conversation, the Future Then Career Talk Network's season 18, or rather episode 18. And we this year as Future Then are focusing on the topic future ready. All right, all our career talks are focusing on that particular aspect, being future ready. And what does future ready mean? As we all know, any invention that comes into place always seeks to disrupt, it always seeks to bring new ways of doing things, and it also puts away or highlights some of the things as redundant. It makes them irrelevant, meaning they are not applicable. And as we all know, so far so good that hard work will not necessarily translate to wealth or being at the peak in the market space. There are other things that you add on to hard work that can help you be outstanding, be excellent, be at the top of the food chain when it comes to the marketplace. And one of those things in this particular era and time is actually artificial intelligence. We need to understand what is artificial intelligence, how does it work, what do we need to know, how can we incorporate it in our careers, and how do we go ahead from here, considering the technology is here to stay and there's nothing that we can do about it really. All we need to do is learn, adapt, embrace, and move on with life. But life will not move on as we have known it. Yeah. I saw a very interesting quote that says, Do not disturb yourself do not disturb yourself doing something. There is always an AI for that. That basically means that in this current present age, there is an AI that can literally do what you want to do. However, it might not be as perfect as a human would do it, but still, you cannot sideline the fact that there is an AI that can do that. So it's important for us to have this conversation. And for today's conversation, we have our certified career growth mentor, a good friend of the Future Den family. His name is Coach Samuel Ibanda. So I will allow him to introduce himself, and then from there we can go ahead with the conversation and steer it in a direction that will answer your questions and also your concerns when it comes to AI, being AI proof, being future proof in an AI augmented economy. So karibu sana Mr. Coach Samuel. Please introduce yourself, tell us a brief of what you do, and then we can go ahead with our conversation today. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. You said karibu, so I also say karibu sana, everyone. Habari zako. I'm glad that I'm here, and thank you so much for the invitation. I really, really don't take this for granted. Thank you so much, the team that has invited me to share on this conversation. So my name is Samuel Ivanda. But by my brand, I go as Coach Samuel Ivanda, and you'll be able to understand more as we proceed. So I'm an accountant by profession. That is what I studied at school. But most of my work now rotates around providing management consulting. I work with KPMG East Africa as a manager for international development. And I also do coaching, mentorship for young professionals in the areas of career, personal finance, and career readiness. And one of the things that we are going to look at today. So I have over now 11 years of experience, and I've worked across different industries. I've worked in the NGO, working with Save the Children, where I was the partnership finance lead. I've also worked with Vodafone in telecom. I've also worked with Alliance One in agriculture. I've worked quite a lot of in different places, but here we are trying to share. I've also had a lot of transitions along my career journey. And again, that will also feed into our discussion today because the AI involvement requires us to be as resilient as possible and be able to pivot as and when the opportunity actually shows up. So I'm also a parent. I'm a father. also a husband. Yeah, I think in a nutshell, that is what I am. So back to you, moderator.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I like the nutshell. It is more detailed than I could give it. Thank you for taking time to introduce yourself. I also love the fact that you say that you have undertaken so many career transitions when it came to your career journey. So I'm looking forward to hearing from that as well. And I love the fact that you cannot be dynamic in an AI future. You need to be diversified. Thank you very much for joining us this wonderful evening. So, to start us off, I think we'll start by breaking down the most complex terms. Everyone was seeing a flyer that is talking about an AI augmented economy. I mean, like, that is too much English. So, from your perspective, when you talk about future proofing our careers in an AI augmented economy, how would you explain what it means to be future proof and what necessarily does an AI augmented economy mean? Please.
Thank you, Faith, for that question. And I'm going to share it from a personal experience. So I've seen AI come through, especially with the latest AI reforms. Of course, data has it that artificial intelligence has been here way before, but it being now part of our day-to-day, I've seen it coming. I've seen ChatGPT come through. I've seen Gemini come through. I've seen DeepSeek come through. I've seen all these applications come through. And I'll tell you that when they came through, there was this whole thinking that these will actually remain tools outside there. I'm one of those that I'm in a generation that also saw the social media applications come through, the Facebooks and so on. So these were just conversations that were in the corridors. Oh, there's this application, it is good. You can actually put your face there. You can meet footballers, you can meet different musicians and connect with them. So it was exciting. The same thing with artificial intelligence. There was a lot of people speaking about all these things until it started to actually integrate in my work. And how does it integrate? We started to test it on our day-to-day tasks. I mean, to consulting and many of our tasks around information generation. Sometimes you have a feasibility that you're trying to do and you want to have a beginning, and you're asking AI and it's giving you these answers, and you're surprised that this can actually be a solution to you. So what that means is that we've continuously seen some of these applications grow. How artificial intelligence started is not how it is today. So being able to grow your career within this so-called AI environment means that you are continuously learning every day, because AI is moving at basically at a speed that not even the people that are working in these AI companies can really tell. So continuous learning is a very important aspect. So anyone who is growing a career in this AI environment the first thing must be acquainted with themselves with the AI knowledge, and not look at AI as one that is replacing them, but look at AI as an enabler. So in a nutshell, what I say is somebody needs to not be looking at this thing from a distance, but to know that it's actually here and it has great, great, great opportunities if you use it rightly. I hope I've answered your question, Faith.
Oh, absolutely. You have. You have actually stepped over to the next question as well, because I wanted to know from your perspective if AI is a disruptive technology or an opportunistic technology that you can, and you have said that we should take it as an opportunity because it is an enabler and not something that has to be done away with. It's interesting to actually think about it that you have been in a generation that has brought social media and at the same time has brought about this AI technology. I would like to know from your perspective,
Yeah.
how do you see the two different worlds? Like when there was no social media, because now I believe to some degree that when social media came into place, it's provided enough data that helped to the simulation of the AI technology. So, from your
Exactly.
perspective, how do you see the two worlds, the world pre technology and now the world with technology?
Wow. So I would say that there's a lot that has changed. And like indicated, when we were getting into the digital world, a lot of people ignore this and they did not look at the potential opportunities. I'll give you my example. Right now, when you go to my LinkedIn, I have over maybe 45,000 people that are following me. On Facebook, very active. Of course, even if it's banned within the country, you go on TikTok, I have tens of thousands of followers on there. I started doing a lot of work online in the early stages. I think opened up my account maybe around 2010, and I started to tap into the social media. I started as somebody who just has an account, just like you might have a ChatGPT account. But then there was a lot of conversations around the potential of these platforms. And for me, what came into my mind was like, if at all I'm existing at this time when these different platforms are coming through, what am I going to do with them? Like, what am I going to look back and say, I lived in this era of, let's say, digital or AI. So I took on the mantle to make sure that I'm active, but I'm also leveraging to understand what are they about, what opportunities can I tap into. So if you ask me, how does it feel before technology? I would feel, of course, life was normal, like it was as that time, like it was as convenient that time. It was okay for us to just make a call, and this you use your button phone, talking to somebody maybe for longer hours. You're not seeing them. You write. I had friends in the US, in the UK, whom I would just have to write letters. But then when technology came, now I can find these people on Facebook, send them a message and they can see it rather than having to wait for longer times for them to be able to respond. So a lot has changed. The same thing with artificial intelligence. Previous, you'd have to go, if you wanted to know about coffee, the coffee industry in Uganda, you needed to either look for newspapers that have written, you may not even get enough information. You needed to go into the field, look for information. But then here you have now a system that you just give a prompt and you'll be able to dig across the internet and be able to give you a report about the feasibility study of coffee. So I would say that life has been eased. It is so easy to live than it was previously. But in a way, somehow, of course, that has also come with its own dynamics. But at the end of the day, I want to say that life has become much easier, especially to those that have leveraged these tools for the better. Because in the same way, right now, I have people in my circles who still think that being on social media is wasting time. Yet for myself, I totally disagree because social media has taken me places, has gotten me to global spaces, has gotten me to different places. So even as we have a conversation around artificial intelligence right now, let me tell you, you can still say artificial intelligence does not matter. And in 5 years, you still be living. But I'll tell you that your life is going to be totally different from the person who has embraced artificial intelligence. Because there's going to be a time that is going to reach, and you're going to look back and ask yourself, like, where did these things come from? Like, how has this person been able to grow maybe their YouTube channel or growing their career or grow their business this fast? Because they have gotten into these tools. Things are a little easier. I'll give you an example. We're into, let's say, for example, this consulting environment. If somebody sends you terms of reference and they are going to ask you for a proposal, you get a lot of people who will say, I'm going to do everything from zero. I'm just going to develop this thing from my mind. But let me tell you, there's somebody else who is using a tool that's going to give them a document within just mere seconds, and they're so much ahead of you. You're going to struggle to meet the deadline, and this person is going to be able to meet the deadline by leveraging this tool. Again, it comes back to understanding some of these tools. And I believe that even as we proceed, you'll be able to understand that it's not just about developing or putting a prompt there and you get the information, but there's more that comes into the picture. So over to you, Faith.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that comprehensive response. I still can't imagine that you guys had to write letters and wait for days. Ah, but they say that hard times create strong men who create easy times that create weak men, which
Exactly.
now becomes a point of concern because I love how you have raised the issue of AI. Back to that particular example that you have used about getting a terms of reference. For those who don't know what a term of reference is, it's more or less of like a question context that can help you in writing a paper. So when you get that and you use an AI to help you write the paper, don't you think that people are becoming more lazy and they're becoming more dependent on AI than they are when it comes to building their mind? Because as a recent report also came out that said that Gen Zs are less intelligent at their age than their parents or their preceding generation was because of the use of technology. So there's a concern right there that I would like you to address. Maybe you can give us where exactly is the balance between embracing this technology and maintaining that human curiosity and that art where you still get to grow and develop yourself even if you embrace the technology. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So I'm going to give you again a practical example. So I'm a career growth mentor, but I also happen to be a recruiter. And over time, I'm part of, let's say, recruitment processes, and you're looking at CVs. So when you look at some of these CVs, you get to realize that one CV looks nearly exactly the same as the other. And these are totally two different candidates. So what happens is somebody has, let's say, used the same tool to be able to develop. And these days, of course, there are also what we call the AI detecting tools that are able to detect what an AI developed document is and what is AI. Even when it comes to academic documents, there are systems that have been built to be able to understand the level of creativity. And even when it comes to, let's say, these content platforms, when you post on LinkedIn an AI post, let me tell you, LinkedIn will be able to detect that this is an AI post. So what I think is missing, especially with some users of AI, again, it's about maybe AI literacy, because when I go to ChatGPT and say, hi, ChatGPT, I'm struggling within my career and I would like to take on this master's, but somebody else has also told me to take on this professional course. Which one do you think is better for me? Understanding that ChatGPT is going to give you their reasons based on how its data is built is key. Because even if you, for example, you see a job description and like, ChatGPT, please write for me this cover letter. At the end of the day, ChatGPT will write for you that cover letter. But what is that gives it a difference from another candidate? Because at the end of the day, it is giving you this cover letter, but much like it mirrors its data, some of the things that it's going to give you are things you've maybe never done. They're not skills that you have. They're not strengths that you can easily present. So being able to get down to say, this document has come from AI, can I refine it, personalize it? Or instead of personalizing it, can I have a draft that I can now ask ChatGPT to just help me do sparing collections or to just enhance, but something that you read as an individual? Because let me tell you, if it is AI, somebody will already see it. You've scrolled through social media and either you've seen a video or you've seen a text. And in your mind, you're like, that is AI, like that is AI. And I've seen this a lot, especially on LinkedIn. A lot of people are using AI to write content. But the question is, what kind of brand are you creating? Are you creating a brand of somebody who knows how to use AI better? Or do you want to create a brand of a thought leader who will be looked at as somebody who actually understands the subject that you're actually putting forward? So you need to be able to move from the point of just using these tools as people call it in a lazy way, but being able to understand that these tools are enablers. Of course, the world is moving very fast, and maybe we shall reach a time where the world is embracing you using artificial intelligence wholesomely. But right now, because we're in a transitional stage, yeah, somebody may be, but I don't have to waste a lot of time, yet this tool can actually give me, yes, you can actually do that. But at the end of the day, there's somebody out there who is judging, because young professionals, people who are Gen Zs, millennials, you still working in environments where there's somebody who totally doesn't use AI and who wants the other creative you. But at the end of the day, of course, we also need to make sure that we are bringing out our creativity. And that's why for me, yes, I use AI nearly every day. I'm using AI. But what am I doing? I'm using AI as an enabler. I'm using AI as a thinking partner. Instead of me having to start from ground zero, I'm using AI to give me a structure such that I'm able to develop that, and that gives me momentum to be able to create something. So it's getting down to understand AI, because AI is builds onto the data that has actually collected over time. So if you're using AI, means that it's giving you according to what it has. And that's why you see when you use Meta AI to give you different maybe responses than what maybe ChatGPT will give you or what DeepSeek will give you. So you need to be able to understand these tools, but also make sure that you do not forget about your creativity. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I have really picked a lot from that particular response. The first thing that I would say is that really that AI is not an independent tool. It should be subject at all times to human scrutiny. That means that there should be human oversight to make sure that what you get is actually what you needed. And I've loved something that you have said. If it's AI, it's probably already been seen. And I noticed something about AI generated posters. Yeah. They all look the same. Even though the color complexes are different, but they all look the same. There's just something about them that makes them the same. Whether you use someone's picture differently, they all look the same. They look like a designer who has been paid and they're just tired of their work, so they just do the same thing across board. So that's interesting that if it is AI, it has already been seen. So it's very, very important. And then the emphasis on the aspect of AI being an enabler and not just an independent function. That is really, really good. But there's something very key that you have spoken about that I'd like us to dig deeper.
Yeah.
The aspect of AI literacy. It is true that when you put a prompt in one particular tool, you would get different responses because these are large language models that are trained by different information sets, what we call data. So I would want us to talk about this AI literacy aspect now because we are future proofing our career. And I think if it's in an AI economy, then we need to be AI literate. So, really, what are prompts? If we could start from there, what are prompts? How would you create a proper prompt? And now, what other aspects of AI literacy do we need as a generation or as a people working in different spaces that are really, really necessary when it comes to future proofing this career? It would also be nice if you use examples. I am certain you know the best way to answer the question, but please go ahead. Thank you.
So thank you so much for that question. And when you ask me what are prompts, I don't want to go the science way. So I want to share from my key understanding as a nanny-tech person anyway. So a prompt is basically an instruction that you're giving the AI device. And what that means is that you are telling the AI what the result it should give you should look like. So from my experience, AI is able to do nearly anything. But then its result is so dependent on the instruction that you give it. So I'll give you an example. If, for example, you were drafting a cover letter for let's say an accountant's position, you might go to ChatGPT and says, give me a cover letter for an accountant's position. ChatGPT will give you that cover letter, or even if it's Meta AI or DeepSeek. Another person will say, we'll get the job description and go to ChatGPT and say, give me a cover letter that captures this different job description, but also mirrors my key experience, ABCD. It could be you paste your CV in there. So what ChatGPT is going to pick now, it's now going to think a bit broader. It's not just going to give you a random thing from its data. It's going to leverage on what you've put as the job description as well as your CV. So it will give you something from that. And then you're able to also, another person would be like, use this CV plus this job description to give me a cover letter for this kind of industry, for this job level. So you see that the more you give in details when it comes to your prompting, the more ChatGPT is able to give you something in a much better way. Another person will even get down to say, give me this in a human tone. So one of the things that I do again say that, yes, in all this, whatever it gives you, it is also good to make sure that you go through what it gives you. What a lot of people do is they just copy and paste whatever it has given to you. Because usually AI has that disclaimer of whatever information it generates is subject to errors. So what that means that it's likely that it could actually give you erroneous kind of responses. So whoever is actually going to stand out, especially in this AI environment, is not one who is just so blank about something and thinks that AI is actually going to give them the response and they're just going to leverage on that and run around and call themselves experts. You need to be able to have some level of knowledge on a given subject for you to be able to benefit from artificial intelligence. Because how are you going to judge if whatever AI has given you does not have an error? So you need to be able to know that as I'm using artificial intelligence, it does not stop me from being able to get down to understand the subject matter. And that is why we do not, when we're not getting to that point where we think that AI is going to do everything for us. These days, of course, we have AI agents that are coming through. AI agents, with ChatGPT, you give it a prompt and it gives you a result. You again ask it. AI agents are now going to be able to do the 360 task that you need it to. And what that means is if you've given it a wrong instruction, it's going to give you a wrong result. So prompting is very important. And when we spoke about AI literacy, how do you learn prompting? Now, prompting is the key skill. Actually, one person was saying that in the era of artificial intelligence, it's no longer so much about what you know, but about being able to ask the right questions. That is what is going to set you up. And I think even in schools, I think we should move away from this whole thing of going to sit for exams, where you're the one going to be able to be asking questions in the exam anyway. That's just for a joke. But what we're saying here in AI literacy, you need to be able to develop key skills that help elevate your reasoning, your questioning mind, and skills like critical thinking, like tools like problem solving. All these are going to help you. Emotional intelligence, being able to read the room, because here, remember, you're reading the result before it comes. So you want to make sure that you're giving a clear instruction. It's just like you responding to like your manager. Your manager sends you One of those things where somebody sent to the market, say, go and look for tomatoes of this price. And then somebody says, yes, I found these tomatoes, but they were of higher price. Again, they give them, then they go. So you need to be able to think on your feet, being able to think deeply. And of course, critical thinking, you have to continuously grow that as a key skill. AI literacy, when it comes to aspects of prompting, you can also learn some of these tools from platforms like YouTube. You can be able to, there are lots of write-ups around prompting, because prompting is a machine language in itself. That is how people were able to develop platforms like the Zooms. That's how people were able to develop platforms like WhatsApps. They were using prompts. But right now, because now it's no longer into the machine language, it's now you can use your English to give it an instruction of what you want exactly to be done. So you need to be able to, one, use these tools. Now, some of you have used AI tools. You know that the more you use them, the more you learn how better to be able to tailor them to give you a key response. There are, of course, you can still, again, leverage. I'll give you an example. If, for example, the advert for this session, somebody can get this advert and go to ChatGPT and upload the image and say, please give me the prompt that can be used to create a similar flyer. And we'll take that prompt and take it into Gemini, and Gemini will be able to create a similar flyer. So a lot of things. So you can even use AI to give you a prompt in itself. So there are different ways you can do, but there are lots of people that have also made videos around, maybe on YouTube, around how to prompt. But at the end of the day, I think it's being able to give crystal clear instructions. And then you're able to look at the response that AI gives you. Usually AI, the first instruction, the first data it will give you or result is more from its whatever it has. But the more you give it more instructions, the more it's able to tailor and give you something that matches your expectation. And somebody has even challenged, like Faith, you've shared and said, you can easily tell a graphic design that has been prepared by AI. Somebody else will tell you that it's just about prompt. Like you can actually get a better result that somebody may not be able to even detect. Now, one of the things that the artificial intelligence companies are doing every day is to make sure that they make it as real as possible, as the way anything is. And one thing that I also want to share here is that AI is not just ChatGPT. AI is not just maybe DeepSeek or Gemini or whatever it is. Right now, what is happening is that a lot of platforms are embedding AI. For example, I use AI on Zoom. Every time I'm done with a session like this, AI is going to give me a summary of what I've presented. I use AI within Teams. AI will be able to look through my charts and it will be able to give me a summary. There's an AI called Cloudy. Cloudy, if installed on your PC, it can be able to run back end of your system and be able to tell you of files that you can delete. It can organize your desktop. It can do many great things. So, of course, we have AI for music. We have AI that makes content. So at the end of the day, I think it's understanding also what AI tool you're going to use at what point in time. And of course, there's also one thing I also say is there are paid subscriptions, and the more, if you're able to invest, let's say, in a paid version, the better results that you're able to get. So you need to be able to understand it. So I think it's about continuous learning, because there are quite a number of tools every day that are coming up. So being able to acquaint yourself, and for me, YouTube is my source of knowledge. I get there, look at, of course, when you also go there, you have to filter out to see which video makes sense to you or which does not make sense to you based on the creator who is actually putting out the video there. But you need to be able to embrace and again, like I said, the best way to learn is to use. If I want to learn ChatGPT, I'll get to ChatGPT and use it. If I want to use Cloudy, I'll get down to use it, because there are guidelines around. And again, these are tools in English or maybe French, if you from that side, that you can easily continuously try out. The more you use it, the more it gets better. And ChatGPT also has this way that the more you use it, the more it understands you. So it's able to tailor and give you results that speak to you. Yeah, over to you, Faith.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I feel like you have given these people every cheat code they need to be AI literate. And it's so painful to imagine that some people pay for this information and you're getting it for free. So please value this information deeply. Take it as the thing that you need to future proof your career. So, as we give our speaker a moment to take a cup of water, I'd like to remind you that this conversation is on, but we are also live on YouTube, which is the Future Then YouTube page. Please, please, please subscribe, connect with us, learn from there. This discussion will also be available after the conversation. So we're going to have it uploaded on our YouTube page. If you need to revisit, you will check it out there. But you can also follow us on all our social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn. There you'll be able to get more updates of what happens at Future Den and the conversations that we are about to carry out. In a special way, we'd also like to recognize two amazing people who have been part of the Future Den journey, and they are contributing to raising people in different career spaces in personal development as well. Thank you very much for joining us, Ms. Shamim Olusimbi. She's a HR consultant and a board member of Africa HR Confederation. We are pleased and honored to have you here. Thank you as well, Coach Abdu Narsa, for being here, a life coach and the CEO of Aperion Consultancy. He does amazing things in personal development and life coaching, as well as training young people on financial literacy. So, thank you very much for being here. We are pleased to have you. Also, remember to register for the open floor conversation. We are looking forward to seeing you on that particular Sunday, the 19th of April, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to have Dr. Dennis Mpebo join us for that particular session. But we're also going to have a panel discussion where we talk about purpose, aligning purpose and passion with the career that you choose. I can see amazing comments. Thank you very much for joining us and commenting. Also, you can join the WhatsApp group via the links that have been shared there by Patrick. And please let us know the feedback from this particular session, and we'll be able to serve you better next time. So I can see Peter saying that yes, we are becoming lazy, and more so will the generations coming. For example, we shall be listening to AI generated music instead of melodic voices of past musicians. I can tell you, Peter, for sure that I have already generated music using AI. So I feel like you're talking to me directly, but well, we have a mindset shift considering what has been said. And then he also says that AI will give you information based on how you have phrased your prompt or command, as you put it. If your prompt is shallow, automatically you will get some critical information missing in the data. But if you really want AI to give you a concrete and rich information, then you must have the skill to prompt it, and it will. Then your work is to refine it. Amazing. Thank you very much for that particular comment. That means that AI falls and rises to depending on the intelligence of the user. So please, as you're doing these things, make sure that you are able to think creatively, to think critically, and don't just take AI for what it says. Coach has already told us severally that sometimes AI gives you the wrong answers. In the AI world, they call it AI hallucinations. So the AI hallucinates and gives you information totally different from what you had already asked for. So be on the lookout for that. I can see Mr. Amos. He's sending a picture on the chat box, and he's asking us to tell him whether that picture is AI generated. So please go ahead on the chat on Zoom, look at that picture. By the end of this conversation, we will have a poll to determine whether the image of Calm Agribusiness Consults Limited is AI generated, or it is a designer generated poster? Is this a poster, or what do they call it? Please remind me the name. The business logo, yeah. So please check that photo. Tell us if it's AI generated or it is not. I can see Robert say that you need to have the fundamental knowledge about the topic so that you can judge the AI results. That's a quote from Coach's speech. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Moses. He is joining us from Christian University, and he is pleased to listen to Coach Samuel. I love it. Thank you very much. There's something fundamental that Coach has said before we bring him back on board, that we all need to know that AI is not ChatGPT only. There are so many versions of AI, artificial intelligence, so many of them. If you talk to me nicely, I might give you actually I might give you a link that will allow you to access some of the pivotal things that you need when you're using AI, how to prompt. But seriously, if you don't know how to prompt, and we have been told that prompting is just simply giving an instruction to the AI. Just tell it what you need, but you need to be very categorical in what you're telling it to do. So if you don't know how to prompt, check out videos on prompt engineering. Right now, they are available in a very wide scale. Information, in fact, we're living in an era of information overload. There's information everywhere. So check out on YouTube, check out for free and paid courses. Even platforms such as Google, they're offering courses on artificial intelligence. They're also offering courses on prompt engineering. So check out these things. In this present age, ignorance is a choice. That is why even in the court of law they say ignorance is not a defense. So it's important that we have that in mind before we go ahead. And I have noted something interesting he has said it's about learning how to ask the right questions. Coach, I also have a question for you. If you decide that the teachers are the ones to be asked questions because it's about asking the right questions, how do you think the classroom would look like, really? That's on a light note, yeah. But I am on the receiving end of the questions, leave alone these times when I am on the asking end. Most of the times I'm usually on the receiving end. So I wonder what that climate would look like. But you have really given us a comprehensive overview of what artificial intelligence is, and I would want to ask you something that you mentioned quite earlier. You talked about simulating AI into your processes where it helps you to analyze data. Now, you have also talked about cloud AI, which helps you in organizing your desktop, and it does most of the critical thinking in the best way. By the way, you can argue with cloud AI and be surprised that it's even more intelligent than you are. Sorry for using that word, but you people should try it. And you have talked about these tools that you have already integrated. So, something that makes most people quiver when they think about artificial intelligence is the fact that AI is actually going to replace me. That is what they think, that AI is going to replace it. In as much as we have said that AI is an enabler, I am certain there's someone here who still has the fear of what if it takes my job? So, from this particular question, I have two questions for you. Do you think there is any industry that is AI proof? That means that no matter how much AI develops, even if it becomes an agentic AI version, there is no way this industry will be affected by AI? So that would be my first question. And the second question would be for this person who is struggling with the whole concept and idea that AI is going to take my job. What do you think are some of the skills that this person can develop that will make them AI and future proof? Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for that question. And I want to first answer it from the fact that Yes, I do agree that AI is actually has already replaced some jobs and is actually going to replace more jobs to come through. But there is also a key saying here that machines are not going to replace us wholesomely, but the people who now know how to use AI will be able to replace those that have ignored artificial intelligence. And what this means is that as humans, we still have an edge over AI in many, many ways because AI has not developed that emotional element in it that, of course, you can send AI and it will be a bit emotional, be like, oh, thank you. What else can I help you? How can I help you today? But there's an element that a human really brings on board that AI may not be. So if you ask me if at all there's any AI-proof industry that I can be able to think about, of course, things are growing every day that even times that I think you've seen some memes around AI girlfriends where people are buying robots and bringing them home and all that. So I would say that right now we cannot judge what is really ahead, but one of the things that is going to keep us with an age as humans is the emotion element, which I think the AI developers are still struggling to really come up with. Because even it comes to different organizations, we'll still need people that can actually work with the AI tools. But what is going to happen is where you needed over, let's say, maybe 100 people, now you only need about 4 or 5 people. And I've already seen this. There's a technology company here in Uganda that has been employing developers, people who are working on websites, mobile applications right now, because you don't need to really start everything from scratch. You can actually code everything. Like AI can be able to give you the codes, and in a minute you have a website up. Now such people no longer have jobs. So what this needs to be done, like for example, for you who is listening to me, even for myself inclusive, is continuously acquainting ourselves with some of these tools. Of course, yes, your employer may let you go, but do you have leverage in the way that you are ahead of others, that you are either going to now start to, because the future of work, away even from artificial intelligence, the future of work is looked at to be remote. Future of work is not going to be a 9 to 5. A single individual is going to have maybe 10 clients that they are serving, because there's a lot that is really happening. So we can't even just speak about AI and forget about the other dynamics that are coming through. Of course, it has also been said that Africa will be the source of let's say labor for a lot of years to come, maybe 2030, 2050, there's potential that the future really holds for each one of us. But one thing we need to also agree is that AI is growing at a level at which, even because I've seen even that in the news, that the people who make AI can also not even estimate what AI will be able to do in 10 years. So one of the things that we need to be able to do is to remain resilient. And again, be multi-skilled. I'll give you an example. I'll tell you that a lot of people say that, oh, when they hear artificial intelligence, what comes to their mind is technology. A lot of people, when you tell them about ChatGPT, when you speak about Cloudy, the first negativity that comes to their mind, like those things are technical in nature. There are people right now who you tell about Facebook, and they'll still think about it in the technical bit of it. But yet these are tools that you can actually learn and adapt. So it's more about adapting. The key skill that we need is adapting, because I can't tell you what tomorrow is actually going to hold, especially when it comes to the way you're doing your work. So every day, as somebody who wants to stand out, especially at your workplace, you need to continuously learn these skills and bring, the key advantage. And I'll tell you this as a secret. The people who are now running organizations are a bit older. So when you bring out some of these key, let's say, key tools, and you're making work a little easier, I'll tell you, there are lots of people that I've seen in the workplace, even different places, who right now, when you talk about ChatGPT, like it's totally new for them. So for you, if you're able to leverage on these tools, I'll give you an example, right? Flyers. There are people who still don't know that ChatGPT can actually make flyers. Gemini, there are logos that you can create from Gemini that are even better than those that can be created by a human. So what are we doing as, and I'm a very ardent, preacher when it comes to multi-skilling and multi-income. So somebody who is afraid of AI, learn these tools. The key easiest way to earn from them is to learn what they do, because AI is simplifying. You no longer need to be a graphic designer to be able to start a graphic design income source. I use a lot of Canva, and I've used the Canva for the last maybe 5 years, even before this whole entire AI came through. But right now, Canva can do a lot of things just from being able to prompt, and tools are there, templates are there that you can leverage on. So the more it gets easier, for me, the biggest thing I'm going to tell you, like what I asked myself when I was starting out in the digital world, for example, in social media and so on, is to ask yourself, what can AI do for my work? I'm an accountant, and right now I use Copilot within Excel. It's able to give you some good data analytics in there. You don't need to take a lot of time. The work that we used to take us, let's say, a full day, you can now just do it within 30 minutes and you have a summary. So what that means is that my boss may not even know that I'm actually using the tool. So it means that they're going to see a lot of productivity improvement in terms of how I deliver. But again, I also need to make sure that I understand that, okay, there's a time when maybe this tool will even be able to do more. Even my boss will be able to know that, oh, Samuel, there's a tool like ABCD, means that you now need less time than the one I've been giving you. So what this means that you have to continuously get ahead. As you hear about these tools, get down to learn them, but also see how do you make yourself career resilient. And career resilience means that you now start to tap into to see what are some of those industries that are growing. I'll tell you, people who are called AI experts, 90% of them did not study AI. Even at the things I'm talking about here, I didn't go to school to study them. It's about self-teaching yourself. And you see, we are also getting into an era, I think we're already there, where it is not about what you studied, it's about what you can do. I'll tell you that a lot of people right now are looking at what is your portfolio? What have you done? There are lots of people who have never even gone to university that are doing great things out of just leveraging on some of these tools. And now it has even gotten easier. Like Faith has said, we have a lot of information. Like this era, you can't say you can't find information. There's a lot of information. So you need to see. I recently asked myself that question and said, Samuel, this whole artificial intelligence, I know you're an accountant using some of these systems and so on, and they have spoken about a lot of how AI is actually going to turn around these industries. And again, even people have said that you can't tell even how tomorrow looks like, because AI is basically, it's that thing that's just, it's like a fire that is just growing every day. So I asked myself and said, what will make you relevant? And I said, I'm going to learn these AI tools that I'm going to train them, I'm going to teach them, because I have good public speaking skills. I'm able to, I can explain some of the concepts much easier. So for me, my leverage is now I'm going to leverage on those key skills to be able to use AI to create income for myself. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm learning some of these tools, and now if you next time you see me saying announcing an AI academy to teach you some of these skills, it's more from my perspective, like this is how I fit in within AI. I may not develop an AI, let's say, website or AI model. I'm going to teach. I'm going to learn these skills and teach them, because there are lots of people who don't know them. So yours is to see, where is my key? What can I do? Am I going to develop something? Am I going to get AI and embed it with my work? Because even if you're in procurement, even if you're into music, right now when you go to Google and say, how can I leverage AI within my nursing job, they'll be able to give you. How can I leverage AI within my carpentry work or whatever, you'll be able to see all these things. So see how it leverages there, but also see what opportunities you can do outside. Not limit yourself and say, me, I studied accounting. This is what I can do. See what are people doing. Go create content. There are people who are now doing faceless YouTube channels by leveraging AI. People are making music. Faith has just said she was making music. There are people who don't understand these tools that you can now teach, help them do a lot of things. So there are lots of things that you can really do with artificial intelligence. Do not limit yourself. And I believe that, again, more is even yet to come. Yeah. Over to you, Faith.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I should join you in teaching. I love that concept. I should
Please.
join you in teaching AI. And it's true, by the way, please believe him when he says that most of these things are self-taught. So don't let your curiosity die down the drain. Allow yourself to learn, allow yourself to be developed. And I loved how you emphasized on adaptability, that as things change, things keep on increasing and improving and becoming better, and more things are being phased out. So probably this would be a good time for us to hear your transition story in terms of your career. You talked about transitioning through different phases, and please, I'd like you to walk us through that. How did you start your career, where you're at? How have you built such a concrete portfolio as Coach Samuel?
All right. Thank you so much for the question, Faith. So I want to say that while going through school, I wanted to be an engineer, but that did not really come through because I did not get that on government sponsorship, which was my key target of getting. So I got BCom accounting. But one of my philosophies in life is whatever is put ahead of me, I need to give it my best. Like I need to stand out, because even when I was going to do the BCom accounting course, a lot of people mentioned and say there are lots of people who are doing like what you're going to do. Them even a number of them who don't have jobs and decided exactly. So there was a lot of negativity. But one thing I promised myself, that I'm going to be the best. I'm going to always strive that whatever I do, I'm going to be the best. And this even from school, being able to take that kind of approach. So I leave university. I started out as an intern. Now, this is after trying out opportunities in some of these big organizations. Of course, the ground is not the way it is, the way we look at it. When we're in school, we think good grades are going to get us in some of these spaces. Now, I was humbled that it was not just about the good grades. And again, even as for our conversation, you get to realize that right now, because we're in artificial intelligence, there are lots of people who are getting into the workspace or applying for jobs, but there's a struggle into breaking into. So I started as an intern. I was doing mostly accounting work. I remember there was a lot of learning when I joined as an intern, because the accountant of the organization I was joining had resigned. But they had advertised for an internship position was 3 months. I gave it my all. I was very positive to learn. I didn't expect that even after the end of the 3 months, I would actually be retained. So that time I learned QuickBooks, learned how to file returns. And of course, some of these things have evolved, but that is one of the things that I did. So within 3 months, somehow I was promoted to now be a full-time staff. But one of the things that I grew up with a lot of ambition. I'm very ambitious. So this was a small organization. So I kept on looking around. And one of the things I kept also trying to see, I'm that person who will look into the future and say, what do I want my future to be looking? Maybe 5 years, 10 years. So what I did is, when I looked at my future and whatever I was doing, I saw myself, I basically started to stop learning. Like most of the things that I was doing, I'd really learned as much as I could within that organization. So I made a pivot into a multinational organization. Again, this was for me to learn international systems, be able to see how to multinationals work, larger systems, because in my first role, I was handling entirely everything within accounts. And now when I moved into the international organization, here, I ended up only doing one key role. I was doing a payables role where I was dealing with suppliers. Of course, the first role gave me a lot of insights, because just imagine you get to an organization and you know everything from marketing, sales, and everything because you're the accountant, so you can see. And then here you get here and you just seeing a small snapshot. Of course, when I got there, got a bit bored, moved into telecom. I moved at a same level. Of course, that was after 1 year. Even if the other role, it was just after 1 year. Now, why was I moving? Is because throughout the entire journey, one of the things that I'll tell you is, in your area journey, there's a lot of learning, and there's also a lot of trying out things to see what really aligns down to your career, or what is that area that you have interest in. So for me, I was afraid. I was not afraid of moving. And of course, also what also was so advantageous is that at the start of your career, the opportunities are there, because there are a lot of people, Shamim here, who does it recruitment, will tell you that a lot of people are recruiting entry. When it comes to entry level, the dynamics are not really hard when it comes to finding jobs. But along the way, of course, as I moved into telecom, great exposure. And again, I'll tell you that my first organization was a consulting environment. So for me, when I moved from consulting to agriculture, now to telecom, I was enjoying it because it was giving me exposure and getting down back to where I started from, because as a consultant, I imagined myself as somebody who is going to have a lot of understanding of different industries. So for me, that was really awesome. But then when I got into telecom, I learned a lot into the telecom, but again, I made another move to NGO. And why I moved into NGO now, that time, I think my interests were starting to change. I was trying to still now look at career growth, because yes, I'd moved into the telecom at the same level, but now I wanted somewhere where I can now be able to grow. So I looked for an environment that I could see growth. I usually tell people that when I made a career move into that organization, they paid me a salary that was lower than what I was earning in the telecom. In the same way, what also happened is that the benefits and all things were really so below. But there's something interesting here, and this was a conversation I had with the recruiter. He told me that, Samuel, I know you're making a hard financial career decision by moving into this NGO world, but this will be the best career decision that you would have made. And somehow, within about 1 year and a half, because I joined NGO as an accountant, within 1 year and a half, I'd been made manager. And that was even jumping the senior accountant's role, because in that organization, I was the first person to move from accountant to jump the senior accountant to become manager. And when I did manager for 2 years, then was promoted to become finance lead. I spent about 4 years. Now you realize that in the NGO, I stayed longer. Why? Because I was growing. But then I also started to now think deeply about my career, because I understood that moving was really greatly impacting my career. In our age, and of course, as things are, the longer you stay in a place, the more you understand it, and the better you actually be able to provide solutions for that. Just like artificial intelligence, the longer you use it, the more it understands you. So the same thing for humans, the longer we stay in an organization, the more we understand it. But also because the environment was favorable, I saw career growth. For me, this was an environment for me I could really stay and be in. But along the way, after about 4 years and 8 months, now I looked and asked myself, what next? What is really out there? And that's how I made the pivot to join consultancy within KPMG. So I looked at myself. Of course, there was a lot of also around the news, around the future of work. So I saw that myself being able to see the kind of life that I want to live, I think I'm better off being a consultant than just being a normal employee who just comes and does routine work. So I wanted an environment that helps me explore. And what that has also helped me is, by the time I moved, I'll tell you that that was before the NGO could get a crisis of USAID funding. A lot of people now lost jobs in the NGO world. But there are lots of things. Even when I left the telecom, that telecom took it about maybe 1 year, and it just closed business here in Uganda. So one thing I've learned along my career journey, again, I want to say, is never be comfortable, because you do not know what exactly is actually coming your way. Even right now, one thing that has come to my mind is artificial intelligence is here. As I come through to this webinar, even as I was being invited, in my mind, I was asking, I actually asked who, the founder, Stephen, am I the right person to speak about this? Because in one or the other, I felt maybe I'm not the technical person. Maybe these people may want somebody who is technical. But one thing I've learned, and as you've seen me even explain some of these things, speak about some of these tools, and now I'm leveraging them, is that make sure that every time you're somewhere, you get ahead of the system. And the fact that we're within a digital era, like I've told you how although I've had this career transition, I've been very big when it comes to digital media. I've been active on these social media platforms. Every day I'm trying to ask, how can I grow my personal brand on these platforms? How can I make money from these platforms? I received my first payment from YouTube late last year. But that has not just been a day's journey. So if there's one thing that I want to leave you, even as I conclude this story, is that you need to look. We don't build careers in isolation. We build careers. It's more like you're driving. I usually use a notion of driving. If you, for some of you that have been part of my webinars, I usually say that career growth is more like a journey of how you're driving. And when you're driving, there are lots of passengers. I just want to just share something here. So there are lots of people that are part of your journey. And what this means is that as you're going to drive, it's not just about how fast you can drive. There's a car that is ahead of you. There's somebody who is hooting. There's a traffic police out there. There are lots of things that you have to take into consideration. So being able to look ahead of where you're going, but also be able to understand that at the back, you also need to be able to see what is coming in the back. And then you also need to be able to understand the players, either it's your employer, either it's your mentor, either it is your colleagues. There are lots of people that are really affecting your career. So you need to be in the driver's seat, but you don't need to underscore the fact that you're not alone in that entire journey. So that is what has really played for me, understanding that I have to get down into the driver's seat, but then I need to be able to understand that, okay, if I'm going to Masaka or I'm going to Mombasa, what does that journey look like? What do I need to plan? It's very important for me. I don't want to live by the wind. And then I don't believe in being comfortable. I'll tell you, I was in NGO, I was earning very well. I remember even the time I left, they had added my salary, maybe around October. I left in December. Everyone questioned my move. But somehow, I'll tell you that every time I look back in the career decisions I've actually made, somehow the dots have connected. I've actually been able to see the reason why I actually had to move at that point in time. So for any young person who is listening to me, right now, you might have studied maybe something that is totally outside maybe your career or career interest. It's not late for you to make that move to what you can really become. Right now, I'm so much into artificial intelligence. A lot of people have seen me on social media do a lot. All that was because I decided to remove this cap of saying I'm an accountant. The reason why I've been invited for this session is not because I'm an accountant. I've been invited because I'm a speaker, because I'm a thought leader, because I speak conversations beyond. And that is the era we are in. So you don't limit yourself. In this era and age, you need to grow your personal brands, because the key guard for you, when you have a personal brand, means that you can always adjust to anything. When you invite me to speak about personal finance, I'll speak about it like I'm the one who founded it. So that is what leverage means for you. But if you do not have things like a personal brand, if you lose your job tomorrow because of artificial intelligence, let me tell you, no one will ever know about you. So you need to be able to embrace some of these things that are outside your comfort zone. Again, I usually tell people that growth cannot survive in comfort. There is no growth in comfort, and there is no comfort in growth. So over to you, Faith.
There is no growth in comfort, and there's no comfort in growth. I like it. Thank you very much. I love the whole concept of your career journey being you on the driver's seat. That brings a whole new perspective because you consider it as a long range game. And the fact that sometimes you have to overtake, sometimes you have to draw back a little, sometimes you just have to go in the same pace with your mentor or your guide. Thank you very much. I have enjoyed that, and I am certain everyone else who was listening in, they have gotten something from your career journey. Don't get comfortable, and secondly, build a personal brand that will help you in case something happens to your professional career. That's indeed quite a solid point right there. So we are wrapping this up in a few, but I would encourage people to ask questions at the same time. So before we go into the questions that they have sent in, I'd like us to jump back into the AI conversation just one last time and we can call it a close for the day because we cannot exhaust everything and there's always something new to learn next time. When it comes to artificial intelligence, let us talk about safety. We have talked about instructions, prompting, knowing how to activate and use AI, knowing that AI is beyond ChatGPT. But what about the conversation of safety? Yes, we talked about writing a cover letter and then you tell it to write a cover letter tailored to your experience. So probably you shared information about what you have already done, or you even uploaded your CV and it was able to extract information from the same. How best can we use artificial intelligence to promote our own safety in a way that we are not necessarily incriminating ourselves, but we are also gaining the best from the artificial intelligence with the information that we're giving it?
All right, great question. And as somebody who works in a really regulated environment, that question speaks to me a lot. Again, data privacy is very important because whatever you give artificial intelligence, it stores into its database. Basically, you see, every day the artificial intelligence tools are growing their databases by the information that we feed it. Like the way you mentioned, the information we have given artificial intelligence through social media is what it has made it strong because it can be able to get into these tools and get this information as is. So we have to remain secure, and remaining secure means that the information you're giving artificial intelligence is not key personal information that may be used against you. For example, if you have a certain sickness, you're not going to artificial intelligence to say, I have this sickness, what do you think is the medication? In one or the other, artificial intelligence is actually picking up. So in case somebody sometimes comes through and says, what sickness does Samuel have? Maybe artificial intelligence will be able to come through and say, Samuel actually has this disease. That is how things can be. There's sometimes you sharing information from your workplace. Again, especially in the workplace, this is very, very important. In the workplace, one of the reasons why a lot of organizations are still limiting artificial intelligence is because of the laziness of us employees of just having to get information and put in there. There have been organizations that have been summoned. As me who works in the professional services firm, there is an organization called Deloitte. Deloitte had used artificial intelligence to work out a report. It was a report for a government, I think either in Malawi or Zambia. I need to be able to check, but it was one of the governments in Africa. So I think their contract was around 120,000 US dollars. And they had to refund that amount of money because when somebody checked the content, this was AI generated content. So you need to make sure that as you use these tools, you're using them also within the regulatory framework. There are lots of people who are now using artificial intelligence to create videos of people, fake videos of people. You've been on lesson on X where somebody is saying, Grok, can you remove the chat for this one? So a lot of people actually leveraging on AI to be able to do crime, to do things that are not supposed to be done. So for you as an individual, avoid to use AI responsibly, because it may not just be about sharing, let's say, private information, but whatever you use it may actually backfire to you as an individual. And then also make sure that you are also limiting the way you are also giving a lot of information. I'll give you an example. For example, if I have, let's say, maybe attendees like you who have maybe given me questions around what I need to respond, instead of me putting, let's say, your names, I will just put maybe whatever questions you've asked, and AI will still give me. So when you uploading information in artificial intelligence, make sure that you're removing personal information, removing people's emails, you're removing people's, let's say, people's names, such that AI is not building something around that. One of the other things I also want to mention about is that because we're in an era of artificial intelligence, so there's when you go to Google, and Google, there's what is called, let me just try to share my screen here. Okay. When you go to Google, these days, there's what we call AI mode. So when you try to, let me just share my screen. Okay. Right here. So when you mentioned about prompt engineering, I was trying to find something. But let's say somebody's just trying to search about Coach Samuel Evander. So you say Coach Samuel Evander and get into AI mode. So when you get to let's say AI mode, they're going to say Samuel Evander, popularly known as Coach Samuel, is a prominent Ugandan certified, I like the word prominent, Ugandan certified public accountant, award-winning finance and business coach, and inspirational speaker. He's widely recognized for his work in empowering professionals, growing their careers, manage their personal finance, and build wealth. Professional background, he serves as a manager, international advisory, things I've been telling you, previous experience, and all this. Now, what is happening here is AI is picking this information from what I have fed the internet. And again, this is where I'll tell you that I have a lot of private information, but you'll not see whatever I have given the internet is what you need to know. You'll not see things that are so private. So what this means in this L&H, even as I encourage you to grow personal brands, make sure that you're curating what AI needs to know about you. And again, this is not even just about how you use AI, but it's also about how you're using the different internet tools, because these internet tools have given access to artificial intelligence that information can be picked from different platforms. So we are in this era and age where, of course, they tell you free speech. You can go to TikTok, speak about how America's is not doing well. You can go to Facebook, comment, and give a harsh comment onto something. Artificial intelligence will be able to give all those responses in just a single tool. You get it? Because recently I've asked, I think I was asking AI when it gave me these responses, and I was saying, has anything, let me see, has anything negative been spoken about him? Let's see. So you can see they're saying there are no public reports of scandals, fraud, official disciplinary actions against Coach Samuel. He maintains strong professional reputation as a certified public accountant and is an active member and good standing with the Institute of Certified Public Accountant. So you can see even the things that mentions here saying, rather than being a subject of negative news, his public message often focuses on avoiding professional pitfalls. And I mentioned a lot of things that I really share in this line. So why am I sharing all this? I'm sharing this to be able to give you the insight that even if you're not just feeding AI intentionally, like in these tools, like there's a lot of information that AI is picking from different circles. Today, you may think you've not put there, but somebody else has maybe put there certain information. So the information that you're also giving out also matters. So we just now need to be vigilant, because anything is possible. Like you see how you are within your room and you think no one is watching. So AI are like those cameras that are everywhere that you can't even tell. So that's what happens with the online space. So I hope Faith have done justice to that. Faith? Okay. Faith is not here. Maybe I think because of her network, but I see her hand up, so I'll take Shamim's hand as we get Faith back here. Shamim, do you want to unmute?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Coach Samuel. I just wanted to appreciate you for this insightful session. I joined in when you were already into the session, but I've learned a lot, especially around your journey through becoming a thought leader. I believe that it's a very powerful testament, especially when you mentioned that growth cannot survive in comfort. It's something that I personally have lived through my career, and I go out of my way to expose myself to discomfort because I know that's the fastest way to grow. I especially appreciated that shift in mindset that you shared with the participants around personal branding. I personally follow you on LinkedIn, and it was an honor to meet you just a few days ago
Yeah.
over in the LinkedIn networking event. So it's a powerful reminder, like what you said about us not being our job titles, but innovators. Especially love the fact that you are leveraging on AI to stay relevant. And it's something that I would encourage each and everyone on this call to use to your advantage. Because there's a webinar that I recently attended around how to monetize your skill through AI. And it's something that we have seen has advanced through the different communities, especially in America and Europe. So as Africa, we shouldn't be left behind. So it's just an opportunity to appreciate you. Thank you for the inspiration and helping us to connect our own dots. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Shamim. And Shamim is one of those resourceful HR people. I also follow your content. I think if you are on this call, Shamim would be one of those that you need to follow. She's also very great at on LinkedIn, how to be able to manage and show up on LinkedIn. So please follow Shamim Walsimbi. So Faith, I think you're back. So I don't want to take your role as a moderator. Please, over to you, Faith.
Thank you. Thank you for holding fort for a minute there. Sorry, I had just a slight twitch on the internet. Technology can be amazing. But thank you very much. You did something that I never thought that could be done. That you ask ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, but Gemini, has anything bad been said about me, or the name of the person that you are really looking out for? I never thought about it, but that's quite interesting. And you also said something that I took note of before I left, that it's important what you put across all social media platforms, because again, algorithms are directed through AI, so they can be able to pick all these patterns and just put them there and show up or show forth the information that is going forth. So thank you very much for tying that up into one particular thing. I hope now we know what kind of information is allowed to be online and to be offline. I appreciate Shamim for speaking. Thank you very much for that amazing comment that you have made concerning coach's work, and also highlighting what is necessary to the people listening in. Probably we can give also one more person an opportunity to speak. If you have any question or any comment with reference to coach, please feel free to raise up your hand and we'll be able to communicate. So we have one question on YouTube that I would like you to answer, but it is not directly related to AI. However, this particular individual got the opportunity to hear your story and they knew that you've started up on a different particular journey. So their question is, how do you navigate through the fear of starting, especially in situations of minimal funding? think that would be the last question for the night as we wrap this up.
All right. Thank you so much for that question, whoever is watching from YouTube, and thank you so much to our YouTube audience. I want to say that one thing that has really helped me as an individual, and this is a very similar question that I answered during the time we were at the LinkedIn networking event. So I want to say that one thing that is powerful for me is community. So community means that I'm not going to do things alone. I'm going to look for people who are on the same journey to be able to grow together. I'll tell you that I ran different programs, and I saw Mr. David Asanga here, whom we ran the public speaking mentorship program for the Transformation Professionals Club. When people come through as individuals, they come out with fear. But when we take them through this journey of learning, and then they get to realize that they are not so much badly off as others, but then they also get to tear themselves along the journey, and they're able to share ideas and know that they can get vulnerable and not be judged in the process. That's what community helps you. There's somebody who knows something that you don't know that can share. But also the power of mentorship. The reason why we are struggling a lot, you saw my description. I'm a career growth mentor. Why I've taken on this journey is because I've seen a lot along my journey. I've made a lot of mistakes, and the people who are also maybe not yet to where I am shouldn't make the same mistake. So I've showed up, and that's why I also started the Transformation Professionals Club to provide mentorship. These spaces like Future Then is an opportunity for you to show up and be able to learn from others, build relationships. So there's that power of relationships that really will really propel you ahead. Of course, the other thing I want to say that also is have your why. Why are you doing whatever you're doing? Again, this is very important because every time I made the move, I had reasons why. So that reduced the fears, but that also gave me more insights. I'll tell you, I left a job and was going to earn less money. I had the why, I had the bigger picture that I was looking at. So the purpose, the reason why you're doing whatever you're doing, yeah, is really very important for you. And then, of course, the other that I also want to ask is continuous development, growing yourself, continuous learning every day. Even in the era, like I mentioned, the era of artificial intelligence, continuous learn as much as possible. Like we in this era and age where information is everywhere, but you see, as information is everywhere, we have a lot of distractions. There are people who are spending millions of time, like hours, just being on social media. Like I mentioned earlier on when I was starting, I said, when the digital world was starting during my days, I asked myself, I'm not going to be a consumer of these platforms. I'm going to be a producer on these platforms. Because if there's one gift that we have in this era and age is the internet. If any one of you who is on this call has never made any money out of the internet, you're sleeping on your job. Because we in this era and age, actually, I should tell people that our grandchildren are going to ask us, Grandpa, you were in this generation where internet came through, artificial intelligence came through. What did you do? You just say, I didn't do anything. Faith, I'll give this back to you.
I just thought about it. During our time and age, we used to think, what were our grandfathers doing when people were grabbing land in the city? Now you have thrown a whole ball game. What were you doing when technology was coming into play? Man, that is way serious. Thank you very much, Coach. We are so privileged to have you. Thank you for the insights that you have shared. Thank you for taking us through on the nitty gritties on AI and its literacy and how to make sure that your future is set and you are ready to go. Please, please, please rewatch this conversation again on YouTube, like, share. If you missed out on any insights, check it out there. And needless to say, YouTube has also integrated AI companion. So instead of going to rewatch the entire video, you can go and search out a section of the video that you had heard about or you still have an idea about, and it can give you an entire summary with the exact timelines. So you can go to that particular timeline and seek out what you're looking for. Life has been made so easy, but we hope and pray that even as life has become easy, we will not become weak men and women in the society. Like you have heard on the parting short, if you don't make any money on technology, you are sleeping on your job. And I'm certain many of us are still asleep, so let's wake up. Anyway, thank you very much, Coach. We are very grateful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge and insights. We'll also be glad to host you once again and continue with this conversation or even something totally different, just to know, just to tap and leverage on your expertise as we continue to grow the network. Asante sana. You are free to leave the call, but before you do, there was a picture that was posted there by Amos. Would like to know from your perspective, is that image an AI generated image or is it not?
Oh, you're asking from my perspective.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Just a yes or no.
Okay, I didn't see the image very well. I think maybe we could get to hear from different people. But what I can say, of course, it's a guess is that it is an AI. But I didn't see the image. I need to be honest. But what I think is that, and again, would love to see what people say about it as it comes through. I just could you just allow me just give some closing remarks? Okay. Yes, Faith.
Yes, I have reshared the image so you can check it out and then give us a closing remark. So, sorry, I am
Uh,
saying that I have reshared the image. You could check it out in the chat box as you give us your closing remark.
okay. So thank you so much for everyone who has come through to this session. I was trying to just check the image. Okay, my PC seems to not downloading the image in its respective format. But just allow me say thank you so much to everyone who has joined the call, and thank you so much, Faith. You've made my life so much easier. I actually thought I was going to make a presentation, so I had a presentation somewhere. But now, when you got into this conversation, it got much easier. So well done on that. I also thank you so much to our founder, Mr. Steven, for picking me to come and speak. I'm one of those that have followed these conversations, and this time I'm also happy to be on this other side of the call. I also want to thank the Transformation Professionals Club members that have joined this call. I've seen quite a lot of them on this call. Very awesome. I would love to connect with each one of us here. And I shared my story and my career transition. I'm very big on career mentorship. So I have a book that I wrote that I would love to give away to the people that are on this call. So you just send me a WhatsApp, and I want to read my WhatsApp. So if you have your phone, you can just type this number such that I can be able to send me a message, and I'll be able to share with you this book. It is the book is titled "How to Get Your Next Job in 12 Steps." So you'll be able to get that book for free just because you created time for